Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Laura Pond. Thank you for giving me your time. As one of my best friends,
one of.
Oh,
This is awkward.
I don't think I sometimes realise, or give myself goosebumps thinking about it already, how much you quietly carry, the amount of things that you deal with on a day-to-day, the work you deal with, everything from getting up in the morning, going to work, doing everything. So what I want to talk about first, really, let's go with your policing career, because there's been a lot of it, and it's been really a lot of what's happened has been so significant, and it's all so behind the scenes. People don't realise the sort of stuff that goes on in policing behind closed doors. I guess it's just all the stuff that's on TV. You know, the stuff that's on whatever TV
and also
shows
because you can't talk about it when you're in it. You're not allowed to.
Yeah,
talk about
and
it,
that actually that is a really good point, isn't it? You're not in it now, so yeah, let's talk.
Anything.
So let's talk about it. So units you've worked in are.
So I started in uniform, did response policing, drove fast cars, but mainly Astras.
Okay, fair.
And transit vans, which I couldn't really reach the pedals of, but we won't dwell on that. So I did response policing for about 5 years, 5.5 years. Then I always wanted to be a detective beforehand. So that's when I went into CID. I became a trainee detective constable. And then I did the rounds. Sounds wrong. Then I did the rounds of departments.
I see.
Of departments. So I started in community safety units. So I started with domestic violence.
That's domestic violence, isn't it?
Yeah. So
I people outside the job.
Domestic violence unit, which was probably quite a tough one to start with because there's no.
I wouldn't know because it's the one that I didn't hit. I got out
we
that
could
one.
talk about your time in uniform.
Oh, here we go.
Policing.
This isn't about me. This is not about me.
What about when you were driving the? Oh no.
Oh, here we go.
You had a bike though, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't even get a bike.
No, I didn't.
Oh, thanks.
This is about you, not me. Stop it. It's not about
Sorry.
taking the piss out of me.
That is going to be tough. How long are we doing this for?
Yeah.
So yeah, I did community safety unit. I did a little bit of case progression unit, which is kind of your first level, your, I don't want to say basic crimes, but your shoplifting, your thefts, things like that. And that's a lot of your prisoner processing, what's downstairs in the cells when you come in the morning.
Even that terminology though, prisoner processing, is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's one that you and I would take for granted, but actually it's prisoner to, you know, if I told my mum prisoner to them, that's somebody sitting in Pentonville. Yeah. It's not, it's just somebody
that's
sitting in.
So it's basically whoever, when you come in at 8 a.m. in the morning, more likely 7:30, that is who is downstairs sitting in a cell.
Waiting for an interview.
Waiting for an interview, waiting for you to work out what's gone on or hasn't gone on. So I did a little bit of time there. I did burglary robbery squad, and then I did the main office CID, so which is all your GBHs, your most serious crimes that are dealt with on a borough level rather than a London-wide, so to speak. So I did all those on
Which borough were you on?
I was on Enfield, so covered quite a diverse borough. One, because it's one of the biggest ones and has fast roads. So it has the A10 and it has the A406. So when you do a blue light run, you can basically get out of second gear.
As a driver, that must be fun, right?
As a driver. But yeah, so it has the fast roads. So it's got that diversity. It's got Edmonton and like the tougher inner city estates and things like that. But it's also got Hadley Wood, which is where, like, you know, a great portion of the Arsenal footballers are, and things like that. So it's got your real range, which I think probably is a really good one to start with, because you can find out what side of policing you enjoy more, get more feeling of accomplishment for.
Yeah. Why did you join the police?
To make a difference, Jenny. I knew I was never going to change the world, you know, but to contribute some way was one of the reasons. I also wanted a job where what I did each day would be different. So I did I drove, I was in Enfield Borough, did all the uniform stuff, responded to all the 999 calls, that kind of thing.
Was Enfield your first choice? How does that work, your choice of boroughs?
So when you go to Hendon, which because it was quite hard to get into the police at that stage, wasn't it?
Like, I mean, that's not my story, but it's yours. But for me, how I ended up in the police was very much about, all I actually wanted to know was whether I could get in. My life sort of twists and turns, and in the end, I got in. I thought, fuck it, let's do it. So that's how I ended up in. But yeah, go on.
Didn't know.
Mm.
Should we do your story?
We ain't got time for that.
You probably have to put it on a special channel as well, wouldn't you?
Maybe, yeah.
No, so I always wanted to be in the police, but I was scared of my own shadow. And I was also a proper fat kid. So the idea of doing a fitness test used to freak me out.
Yeah.
So I parked the idea.
Yeah.
And I went down my second love, which was writing. So I went into, or I was going to study journalism. I wanted to be a features writer, and that's where I was going to go down. And I went to uni to do journalism, and I had a complete obsession with the news, with current affairs, all that sort of thing. And I loved to write. However, the side of journalism that I probably haven't factored in is that confidence, that one-on-one. They had me like the second week, they had me approaching people, vox pops. So they had me asking questions of people in the street.
Oh God.
And going up to strangers. And I didn't have any balls in any respect.
It's not easy doing it as a content creator type thing as well. That is a difficult thing to do.
And I just was so out of my comfort zone. And it was my first time away from home. I was like 18. I was down in Bournemouth. There was no space in halls of residence. So I was in a house with a couple of other girls who were lovely, but they were much more outgoing, or they knew people. So I spent a lot of time in the house on my own, away from home, away from everyone I knew. And then I had this pressure. It wasn't enough that, you asked me about a political situation in, Afghanistan. I could give you an answer.
Yeah.
Ask me to go and speak to someone in the street, asking their favourite bag of crisp flavour or whatever.
Yeah.
I literally, the anxiety, it was insane. So I made it till Christmas.
Did you know that was a sort of part of it when you signed up for it? Or did you
naively know?
Right.
I mean, I did media studies at A-level.
Right.
So I pulled together my own little radio show bit. I'd pulled together my own newspaper.
Oh, wow.
And I'd done some features writing and things like that, just locally. I think sometimes when you're blinded by your love of something, you don't think about the reality. And
yeah,
I mean, that goes for
everything. We're not going into that right now.
We're not going into it. Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? I just loved that whole world, I wanted to write features. I was obsessed with current affairs. I used to have News 24 on the whole time, and that's about the time that News 24 was starting, kind of thing. And that was, I wanted to write, I wanted to explore issues.
Yeah.
And I suppose there was a bit of the investigative side there, the following your leads and getting to the bottom of stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense, actually.
And that was what I wanted to do. And I could write. I did English A-levels, it was something I was good at. And so off I went, just thinking that if you love it enough and you work hard enough,
then
it'll come. But it didn't matter. Something like that, and I've learned since, sometimes you can work as hard as you want at something. It doesn't mean it's gonna come easy to you.
No, true.
And I think that's always, I mean, certainly back then when I was 18, 19, that's not something that that had registered. So I went down there and I found it really hard. And I really struggled, and I made it till Christmas, came home for the Christmas holidays, and didn't go back, basically. Talked about it. I talked to my tutors. I mean, my mum talked to my tutors, which is a little bit awkward when you're 19 and your mum's ringing your teacher.
Yeah.
But they were worried about me, and probably rightly so at the time, to be fair. But it wasn't enough that I loved it and that I could write, because I couldn't do at that time, I couldn't get through the hard stuff. And I think now I'd approach it differently. I'd work at it differently. I mean, now it just wouldn't bother me. I'll go and ask anyone anything.
Would you? Do you think you could go up into someone in the street and just do it?
I think it's funny, because I think I could if I put my police officer
interesting
outfit on.
Yeah,
because
I get that. I can relate.
I had confidence, or I got confidence from putting a uniform on. And even when I didn't wear uniform anymore, it was kind of like there was two me's. There was, you know, police officer me, and
Yeah.
then Laura. And Laura was still scared of her own shadow. You know, I was still didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't have a lot of confidence until I was in CID at Enfield, and one of my DIs really really worked on that with me.
That has to be Paul Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he used to take me to meetings, panels, and he'd talk to me about how I presented stuff, and that sort of thing. And the fact he believed in me and put me in those situations, from then on, I did get more confidence. And I think now, since then, I have obviously increased in confidence. So there's quite a few things nowadays that I don't feel comfortable in doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel comfortable networking, you know.
But you're incredibly good at it.
But I do it, you know, and I know when I was changing career, I knew I would have to work at the changing career. So I was ringing people, like people were saying to me, oh, you should talk to so-and-so. They've gone into safeguarding. You'd be interested in that. Or so-and-so's gone into security. So I'd ring these people and I'd have a conversation with them. And that is so far out of my comfort zone. I hated it. But these people are willing to take the time to talk to me.
Yeah.
The least I can do is talk to them. And I really wanted to change my career, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I wasn't going to walk into anything. So I did it, you know.
Yeah. So let's go backwards then. So what made you pick Enfield?
So I picked the northernmost boroughs, and I got my first choice, which was Barnet. And then I was 5 weeks into Hendon.
Yeah.
When they said Barnet's got too many probationers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you're all getting rearranged, reassigned. And then I got Enfield, which was my second choice, but I knew nothing about it. I'd moved down to Barnet, Finchley Way. And I didn't really know massive amount about Barnet, but I was that was in my head where I was going.
Did you go to northernmost to be nearer to home, being Peterborough?
Yeah, I think just northernmost felt, I wanted an outskirts borough, because they were bigger, they were more diverse and things like that. And which is strange because a lot of people go for central because they're the boroughs they'll know.
And they think they'll be busiest.
Yeah, they'll be busiest, most exciting.
Yeah, that's not quite how it works, is it?
The glamour.
Yeah. But you're dealing with prostitutes and drugs, actually. But yeah.
Shoplifting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got told I was going to Enfield, which was a little bit strange because the people going to Enfield weren't all in my class, because your classes are arranged on where you're going.
Yeah.
So it all became a little bit disjointed. But I didn't have my heart set on Barnet, so it wasn't the end of the world for me. I was going to Enfield. But yeah, Hendon was really hard for me because I was still at that stage where I didn't have a lot of confidence, but I was learning to push that aside. But it was so it was 20 years ago, so it was very old school at Hendon. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I'm only 28.
It's interesting, isn't it? I wonder how we did it at 8.
Yeah.
I mean, I was younger, but yeah.
But yeah, so I off we go there, and it was very old school. There was still staff, you know, our instructors.
Yeah.
A lot of which were ex-military or wish they were ex-military, and there was a lot of that discipline. It was still very disciplined service. And I know I learned afterwards, they used to push me because they knew I wasn't comfortable in confrontation, which I get was something that I did need more practice on. But we would do these scenarios, and they would say to the stooges or the people acting, which would be fellow students, they would say, don't stop arguing, whatever.
Oh,
whatever
really?
she says, whatever she does, don't stop arguing. And that, because they wanted to watch how I would struggle with that.
Handle that.
But it's not natural at all, because I learned very early on in my career, I was never going to win in a fight. I was never going to out-shout anyone. So you learn to use what you're good at. And I'm good at talking to people. You know, I reckon. But yeah, so I learned that my best way to talk was to talk someone down, or was to try and understand what was upsetting them or why they were angry. There's no capacity for that at Hendon, or not back then, there wasn't.
Do you think there is now? Do you think it's different?
They barely even have Hendon, do they? I mean, it's
a day. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know.
I mean,
I remember having such silly things, but some of the memories I have is like I remember them saying, "Don't open your bag," but in there is da 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 da, and of course you all go to open your bag, and then you get yelled at. I said, "Don't open your bag." I can't imagine it's like that now because I feel that's such a minor little thing, but that was the sort of, as you say, the sergeant majory type thing we were being taught.
I mean, we were still getting inspected on our uniforms.
Yes, yeah.
Like you had to have the line down your sleeves of your shirts. You had to. I spent ages learning to polish my own shoes until they shined, literally. And I remember I had Doc Martens, and I remember having to put a marker pen all over the yellow cotton, which was the trademark, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but I was like, had to put so that there was had to put my hair back in a bun, and it had to have one of those little hair nets on.
I loved the hair nets. It meant I didn't have to brush my hair. Loved it.
Of course you would. I mean, I was still trying to bulk mine out with a few old knots and things. But yeah, you got inspected every morning. You learnt to march. March was a big part of your day. And it was.
God, I hated marching. I hated it because that fear of just that my arm would be out, or I'd get the leg the wrong way, or I'd stamp wrong.
Do you remember our passing out parades? Where we all had to line up.
Yeah.
And I was the shortest point
in
the. It's harsh. There was actually 2 people shorter than me, but because of the way it worked out, the formation, I was in the middle, so I had the quite big responsibility of nodding my head on the passing out parade. And then, as I nod my head, everyone had their heads turned, and they all had to like a Mexican wave of heads. But yeah, so there was the marching. There was instructors there that wanted to catch you out.
Yeah.
There was instructors there that, dare I say it, it was heavily male dominated at that time. That's one of the reasons I got in I got a start date 6 months after passing all my, exams and all that sort of thing, which was really quick because they needed to improve the amount of girls.
So did I. I got mine. I started in July the 3rd, hence why my 20 years is a couple of months' time.
Yep.
10 years. And I found out in the January. Yes, I had a similar.
Yeah, similar, because I was July I started, and I found out in the January.
And you must have had the same as me. We had people, who I ended up in a relationship and engaged to at the time, but someone that had been waiting 4 years to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of the guys had been in my class were waiting 3-4 years and were quite bitter about it. And rightly so, I suppose.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it was heavily male dominated. And there was the old school, the old guard that were like, she hasn't got it. She's not got what it takes to be a copper in their eyes. So it felt, Hendon for me felt such a battle, because not only were you trying to learn all the legislation and you're marching and your officer safety, but there was still a big bit of you that was just having to prove that you deserved to be there.
Through being female?
Because you were a girl and because you weren't as perceived as strong and as forthright and things like that. So there was, and I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't subscribe to that, but it just made the whole thing feel a lot harder.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had a good friendship group. I did okay. I think I did all right. I passed out. It turned out to be all right.
I know that you're very strong, intelligence-wise. I know that's. Here we go. I take it in your exams and everything. None of those were a problem for you.
No, but I studied. I'm not naturally bright.
Are you not?
No, I just work very hard.
You quite enjoy studying, don't you?
You enjoy a little bit of a geek.
Enjoy bettering yourself.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put I'm a little bit of a geek. Thanks for that. Welcome. But yeah, no, I do enjoy studying. If it didn't cost so much, I might do a bit more of it. But yeah, so I've always had to work. I'm doing subjects I'm weaker at and things like that. But that's fine because I can do that. I know if I've got to work at that, I can do that. It's not a problem because that's within my control. Whereas there's other things that, like we were talking about, speaking to people in the street and things like that, and confidence, that's never felt as within my control. So I worked on the academic side, and I got through all the exams. That wasn't a problem. I knew my points to prove, which was the same for the practical, like the scenario side of it. I knew the points I needed to prove. I knew the questions I needed to ask.
So KEs were the exams, were
Yes,
they? And SEEs were the
like
what's
the
the word?
practicals,
Yeah,
the
what do they call them?
scenarios.
So S for scenario, K
Yeah.
for knowledge.
Yes. Oh,
I'm not as stupid as people think. Can I just say?
It's not about you.
Shit. So your KEs, I assume, were good. You did well on those.
Yeah.
Did you struggle mentally with the SEEs because you kind of thought, because again, not about me, but I used to find those a real struggle because I'm not an actress, but you put me in a situation, generally I can find my way through it. And I used to really have a real mental battle with, I'm not an actor. If I could have got over that, I used to really struggle with that going in. I think that's what I used to have a real mental hurdle over. I'm not an actress, which I wish I could have worked on better, really.
Yeah. I just had that real, like, self-confidence lack of, because I knew they were watching me from behind the panels, from behind the screens. They were watching me, the staff, the instructors, and I got so into my head about, oh, they're going to be thinking, look at her. But she's not controlling that situation.
Yeah.
Because they just told people to just continue shouting at each other. And I was trying to intervene with all the things I knew how to. But they'd been told, the actors, that
to be deliberately difficult almost. Yeah. Make it even harder for you.
See how she handles it. You know.
How's that fair? Yeah, it doesn't feel fair.
Which is not fair because it's not a natural situation at all.
Well, it also means that you and, say, person who came in next is getting the same grading. You're not getting the same treatment. How's that work?
Yeah, because, like, if the person that comes in next is, 6 foot with a billowing voice, male or female, and they just shout them all down,
we're all good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go. I mean, does that work out there? I mean, can you imagine walking down 4th Street from Edmonton into Tottenham and coming across some sort of confrontation in the street and just out shouting them? Like, that's never going to work.
No, but we've seen people try, haven't we?
Many a time we've seen people try. But yeah, I mean, that's not a tactic that anyone wants in their kit belt, is it?
I had a write-up on one of mine saying a real tour de force where it was all sarcasm all the way through it.
Oh.
So like a real
that feels a bit too clever for some of my stuff, if I'm honest.
There you go. I was like, okay, I get it. I've passed, but you didn't have to be so sarcastic with it.
But yeah, I found Hendon difficult. I didn't find my probation easy.
It's just Hendon in a different setting, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Hendon and Ponder's End for me.
Ponder, so was mine.
Yeah,
I found that you would think the women would support women, but I felt sometimes that in policing that there would be women that have done well, and it's almost like, I've done well, I've had it difficult, so I'm going to make your life hell. Think what?
100%. Especially then. I mean, I don't think
it's quite the same now.
It's not the same. I think there's still, people it was very true of.
Yeah,
but
of course.
That's life. But yeah, there was very much that. Yeah, we had it when, like, we used to get a stamp on my butt, on my arse in the station office. And,
all right.
All this stuff. So no one liked me, so no one's going to like
you either.
Yeah, there was. And I'm still friends with a couple of mine that I did my probation with and things like that. But overall, when you join a team, a response team.
I was going to say, so team is uniform when you're out and about doing the arresting that people answering the 999 calls.
Yeah. And that was, you join a team and it's fitting in getting into that. I mean, yeah, you'll remember. Oh, no.
No, I didn't do it.
No. You'll remember when you were on.
No. But setting records straight here, I did want to do that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't your fault that they
put me on safe and overheads to just walk the streets of Edmonton Green.
Yeah.
Christ.
I didn't even give you a bike.
No. Anyway.
But yeah, so it was never easy, but I don't know. I reached a point where I'm just like, I'm here. I'm doing this now. So let's do it to the best of my abilities. Let's make the most of my strengths, which always was the written stuff, the report writing, the investigation side of it was probably always a strength. Talking to people was a strength. It did mean a lot of the time, you got the victim work. You got left with the kids. I mean, who'd leave me with their kids?
It always amazes me that people used to do it with me as well.
Yeah, like, oh, she's a girl, she'll be fine.
Hang on, he's got 5.
He's got 5 children. I can't even keep a plant alive.
I'm about to
that. It's true. But yeah, so it was just, you reach a realization, don't you, with many things, that I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm just going to do it the best I can.
Yeah.
It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it turned out all right. And, you know, my strengths were strong, if that makes sense.
Would you say your time on team, on the whole, you were good at it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was
you're
good
an
at
asset
it.
to your team?
I mean, that's quite strong wording. Yeah, I had things I was good at.
You probably offered a different dynamic, didn't you, to the majority of them? Prepared to do things a lot weren't.
I was always prepared to work hard. Do you know what I mean? It didn't necessarily equate to good results. But like, I did a foot chase with,
oh God.
I know. I mean, just the start of that sentence, we'll edit that out. We turned out for it was a robbery. A guy it was early on, like a Sunday morning, and he'd been robbed in Green Lanes. Had his phone taken by a couple of youths. We'd gone to report this robbery, and no one wanted it because it was a Sunday morning. So like, and it was getting on for an hour old, so the suspects weren't going to still be there.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be the report.
Nothing sexy in it. Yeah,
just a statement taken. There was no sexiness in this. So off we, me and Lily, it was with Lily, and off we went and drove us down there. We reported it from this. It was a fairly young guy, and he was. I mean, this is no criticism, but he was really shaken up by it. He was really nervous. He was probably a little bit of a nervous disposition anyway, but we explained we were going to do a drive around because it was the borough policy at the time. If it was it was in like 90 minutes or something, you did a drive around. You took them in the car to see if the suspects were still around.
Yeah.
And so off we did. We put him in the back of the Astra, and we're all thinking this is a bit of a pointless task. You know, we're just thinking about, you know, Sunday morning's cafe day. And we start off down Green Lanes, and we only found them, didn't we? There's two lads sitting at a bus stop, and this guy in the back's like, oh God, that's them. And me and Lily looked at each other and we couldn't believe our luck. But, you know, then you get the adrenaline hit, don't you? Like, those two guys have just robbed this poor lad.
Yeah.
Right, off we go kind of thing. And they saw us turn around at the roundabout, and they obviously realised. So we put it out over the radio that we spotted them to get some other units in the area. And drive down, and on the left is a rugby training field. Mm-hmm. And we see they disappear into the edge of that. So can't get in there with a car. So I drive the car down to the other end where the gate is. And I drop Lily off at one end. I drive down to the other end. The idea was they're going to go straight down the rugby pitch. We'll, like, I don't know, operate some sort of pincer movement halfway, take them both down. It was all a bit of a wing and a prayer, but, you know, the effort was there. And so I go down the other end of the rugby pitch, the car, and I leave this guy in the car. I'm like, right, stay here. I mean, I've never seen someone so nervous. He got in the footwell.
Oh, bless him.
He got in the footwell. I had to lock him in an Astra, and he was literally hiding. But yeah, so I get onto the rugby pitch. I come for the entrance. It's at that point that I realise they have not kept running down that field. They're still right at the other end, running through like some hedging. I'm like, I've got to show Willie now. He's watching me. I want to catch these. Lily's down there on her own as well. So I'm like,
run.
I had to run the entire length of the rugby pitch. I don't know whether he's picked up anything about me, but I'm not a runner. I'm not a sports person in any way, shape or form. So down I go. It was thick mud. I'm like, you know, you're in your polyester trousers. Yeah.
It's not a uniform for sports running, is it?
It's not a uniform for like, I had Magnum boots on, which because my legs were so short, they almost came up to my knees. Yeah. So I couldn't, there was no flex, you know. So, but I did it. I got all the way
belt
down.
And the Met vest are awful.
And I got down there, down the other end. Lily had got one of the guys. So there was one outstanding. I was so close. Got the whole way down. Someone else turned up and stole the body. Arrested them. Absolutely fuming. All that effort. Probably the most effort I'd ever gone into, like physically apprehending someone. Stolen from me, it was. Stolen.
Unbelievable.
So off I traipsed back down the rugby pitch to the car to get my victim and another starburst. And yeah, he's like shaking and
not as shaking as you are at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, there was adrenaline, there was like oxygen deprivation, there was a lot I was going through, but he was going through sheer fear in the footwell of my car. Bless. But yeah, we got him, we charged him. It fell apart at court, obviously, because he was too scared to go to court. So,
oh God,
I did bring something to the team, you know.
What was your next step from team?
That's when I went into CID.
Okay.
That's when I became a detective. That was always what I wanted to do. But I believed in learning from the ground up. And I wanted to, like, I didn't want to become one of these detectives that were fast tracked and things like that, that didn't know how to investigate a theft because they'd never arrested anyone for a theft. This is awkward.
I've nicked someone for theft, to be honest. So
yeah, surely you've done a little sneaky theft investigation, haven't you?
Oh, investigation?
Oh
no, just a warrant. But anyway,
someone
wanted a warrant. I'll have that. Station office, I'm coming.
Oh, don't talk about the station office in your postings.
Oh,
that brings
God.
back my first memories.
The PTSD.
The PTSD first round.
The first stint.
Oh, can we talk about?
No, we can't.
But that's how we first met. That's a key in our relationship.
Laura, how did we meet? Laura, what are your first memories of me? Because actually,
fear.
They're not my first memories of you. So, what are your first memories of me, please? How did we meet?
Station office, Edmonton Police Station.
Oh, lovely.
Circa 2010, I reckon.
No,
lied.
It couldn't be. You have lied. Yeah. I reckon you're talking 2006. It must have been because I'd have been probation.
No, you weren't probation. Okay, I'll give it. It was earlier than I thought, but I don't think it was as. I reckon 2000. Let's go for 7.
Go on, man.
7.
You can have that.
Circa 2007.
Oh, it'd have been when I'd had my car accident on the M11, so I was having 6-hour days because I couldn't walk. So I was working in the station office.
Right, didn't you?
So I was working like 4 6-hour days in the station office because I couldn't go out on the street, couldn't run after people because I had an accident on the M11.
Oh, so many points, but it's not about you. So
2007, you're right. I'll take it.
Okay, 2007. I was in the station office, and station office at Edmonton wasn't the best posting, if I'm honest. All the probationers had to do it, and
it's very good for learning.
Look at you! You're so positive. Very good for learning. How to deal with a multitude of situations, yes, but it used to involve people. That was the problem. I think it involved people, the members of the public, and you never know what was going to walk through the door.
Do you remember around that period, sorry to deflect, but it just reminds me of, do you remember around that period, Wood Green Police Station, when that police officer was stabbed by somebody?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be something completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, he stabbed himself.
That was right, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, so it was a little bit nervy because it was 24 hours a day.
That's right.
I mean, obviously not for you because you were doing a 2-hour shift in the middle of the day. But yeah, the rest of us did... that would have been 12 hours at that time.
Oh,
and I did a 12-hour night.
Like you didn't only do 4 days a week, so calm down.
6, actually. But anyway. Yeah, so we were doing 12-hour night shifts there and things like that, or early turns, whatever it was. And there I was. I'd had a hard shift. I was very diligent. I don't know if that's come across yet. Very diligent gig. So I'd done my handover. Everything is logged where it was, whether it was in the safe, any property I'd taken in, if anyone had been to collect any banking. It was all written down. I had my lists, I had the books. It was all laid out. I was ready. I was ready for whoever was taking over from me.
You don't know that when you go in, though. Just in my defence, before you come at me.
No, you don't. There's some people that aren't as diligent as me.
Yeah,
and I get that. But in you came, and I'd heard you around the police station a few times. Heard you, but I didn't know you. And you were taking over from me, and you bowled in. You had your hat on as well in the police station, which I couldn't understand.
Well, because I was also very good at what I did, and I wore a hat, which I've got next door.
In the police station.
I haven't got it. I've returned it.
Fully kitted out in your outdoor uniform, even though you didn't really go outside.
Handcuffs never been used.
Yeah, you were ready for anything. Should we say
know.
that?
Yeah,
ready for
always
anything.
ready.
Bowled in, threw the hat down. Right, I'm in here today. There was no airs or graces. There's no, oh, it's lovely to see you. Nice to meet you. I'm Jennifer. I work for Hazelbury SNT.
Hazelbury Ward SNT.
Oh, sorry, Hazelbury Ward SNT. No.
With the good Sergeant Tyres in charge.
Yeah, no, there was none of that. In you bowled. Have you done this? Have you done that? Is this up to date? I was frightened. Positively frightened. I was still in my low confidence phases then, I reckon. Yeah, and then, I was just like, I remember going back to the locker room and getting changed, and was one of the other girls there. And she was like, "Oh, how was your morning?" I was like, I've just been taken over in the station office by, she's unsafe for neighbourhoods, redhead, yeah, fully kitted out. Yeah, it's like she's scary, isn't she? They probably said they'd heard you as well, but yeah, I mean, it went up from there. But it turned out we both had chronically sarcastic sense of humour. We were both convinced we were fairly hilarious. I still think that's a fact.
Yeah, I am.
But yeah, and we enjoyed moaning. And that's how it started, wasn't it?
And so it may continue.
And so long may it continue.
Yeah.
Cheers to
Cheers
that.
to that. Right, so where have we got to? Right, so you go into CID. Oh, God, you're going to hate this. When you join CID, I'm already there. I am, and I? Yeah. Obviously.
I had to go for an application phase first.
I just did a little 728 fancy it.
Yeah.
Because I went in via Sapphire. I went via SOIT. I didn't do CID, did I, per se? Obviously, because I've done the shortcut route on every single part of my policing career.
But I don't think, I will agree with that statement on most of the things, but Sapphire is no shortcut. Doing what you did in Sapphire is a tough gig.
It reads as a shortcut.
Reads as a shortcut.
It was absolutely horrendous. Like, if you look at now, the shows this, Believe Me and all of this, it's Sapphire are getting such a horrendous rep at the moment. Yeah. But I was there. But it was
I mean, it's never been an easy gig.
No.
But like at those stages, you know.
Did you never think to be a SOIT? SOIT, sexual offences investigative. So for the view, sexual offences investigative. Can you say it? Sexual offences.
Give me that slushy drink back.
Investigatives techniques. SOIT officer, basically the officers that deal with the victims of serious sexual offences.
Yeah,
they don't deal with their suspects at all. They just deal with the victims to ensure that their allegations, or no, their reports of what's happened is dealt with without being tainted in any way.
Yes, yeah,
and they get the.
And
best
ironically,
treatment.
I didn't at the time. I never thought about that.
That really surprises me because that's so you.
I mean, ironically, further down the line, like but it took too hard of a gig for me. You had to do it on your own, didn't you? Like lots of nights you're on your own. Oh,
yeah.
Where's my backup?
Being sent on to Broadwater Farm in a Fiesta, which was quite clearly an old bill car. Jesus Christ!
You might as well. Were you still in your full kit as well?
No, but I did have the out. What's that guy's name that I used to see everywhere? Someone Lindsay. God, I used to see him everywhere. Alex Lindsay. Remember him?
Probably not. It was more than 20 minutes ago. So my memory won't.
One of the nominals that we used to be up to.
Yes,
Alex Lindsay. I used to see him everywhere on all the trains, everywhere. I was sitting there casually in half blues, thinking, "Don't see one. Don't look at trousers. Don't look at trousers. Don't look at trousers."
I like polyester trousers
with a sewn line down the front and magnums, and just with a hoodie.
They used to burn terribly as well. When I set fire to myself in the calf, Chase side. Set light to myself in the calf in those trousers. They burnt, man.
That's going to be the same calf that I accidentally left a load of printouts of warrant details and custody details. I left them to do a load of warrants. PC Melling around, please. Why? Yeah, I think you've left some warrant. You're doing a warrant this morning. You left a load of details there. Whoopsie!
Yeah, I was too busy working out what I was going to order for my breakfast. I didn't know. A member of the public who was sitting there was just like, do you, excuse me, your leg's on fire. Yeah, sure enough. But because the material just kind of crunched and split, there was no real flame.
No smell.
Oh, there was a smell.
Like your hair.
Oh God, there was a smell.
Do you ever burn your hair on a hob?
No.
Just. Well, I went to look in the oven once.
You put your head in the oven once.
Well, I went to look in the oven, and that went onto the hob. Off it went. Yeah.
I've done CID. I'm leaving CID, and I went to Counter Terrorism.
Counter Terrorism, yeah.
Counter Terrorism Command. Off I go. That was always being nosy and being obsessed with the news.
Was it what you wanted, Counter Terrorism? Because I think in my head I always thought you wanted Murder Squad.
No, Counter Terrorism was what I wanted. My big plan was that I wouldn't get Counter Terrorism Command to start with, so then I'd aim for Murder Squad.
Because that'd be a bit easier to get into, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then I'll do Counter Terrorism as kind of like the piece de resistance. but I peaked a bit early. It's been known. And I got Counter Terrorism Command the first time I went for it.
When I didn't.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that.
I didn't get it, boo. They didn't want me.
Well,
they asked me what the definition was. I think I got it wrong. But anyway.
I mean, it wasn't the best start. And then when they said you got it wrong, did you try and argue it?
Yeah, obviously.
Do
you know you talked to?
Yeah. I think you'll find.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got Counter Terrorism Command, and just before I was due to start, I found out. So I got the investigation pods, Counter Terrorism Command, and each team has, or at the time, had another responsibility.
So how many teams were there? 6,
that
something
is
like
a
that?
fascinating question. Well, I was team 11.
Oh, so
so
no.
there was 4 pods, 4 teams on each.
Oh, 16.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So what? So and each team on each pod would have a different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Largely, they had another.
There's going to be a
speciality. Yeah. Official Secrets Act was one. Foreign Fighters was another.
That's really interesting, actually. I didn't realise each.
Yeah. Every team had something, and my team was war crimes, and we have responsibility for war crimes alongside the normal counter-terrorism investigation. So team 11, so there would have been about 12 of us. So at times there's always been, it went up and down, depending on the demand for what was going on in counter-terrorism at the time. So it had recently got bigger.
Because what year did you join?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so I joined 2015, was when I went over there. And I suppose my first big incident I was involved in was the Tunisia, the beach strikes.
Oh, okay.
In Tunisia.
Yeah.
Would have been the first incident in 2015. And I did quite a lot of work off the back of that. Myself and my boss at the time, and then others from across the network of the UK, did a lot of work on designing a process for dealing with victims and witnesses coming back from such incidents, such mass terrorism incidents.
Well, as in, what? So if you were a victim involved in it and you were witnessed it or something, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Is that what you dealt with?
So it started because after the Tunisia beach attacks, the key was the holiday companies just evacuated all the British tourists, all the British guests from there.
Yeah.
Get them out there, get them home was the logic.
Mm-hmm.
But these people had lost family members, had been on sun loungers next to people who'd been shot. Some of them had to play dead. The most horrific things. And everyday people, that's the thing with terrorism, isn't it? It's everyday people that it affects. These are people who are on their holidays. And they've got their all-inclusive to Tunisia, some, beachfront, and they were there. And then there's a man with a...
Actually, do you know what? That is a valid point. People won't know what happened. So just a quick...
Yeah. So Tunisia at the time, they'd had an attack earlier in the year at a museum.
Yeah.
A terrorist had carried out a shooting at a museum. And they'd been a British casualty, his lady has sadly died. And as a result of that, there was some warnings about the environment in Tunisia and like what was going on there. Whether they were well publicised is another issue, but it was still a massive hotspot for British tourists.
As in whether it's well publicised to the British public to know whether
people knew what was going on.
Did you realise actually going out there might be a bit risky?
Yeah, it was literally that, because there was tensions bubbling, there was a lot of, there was, worries about some of the stuff that was going on and things like that. Whether that was, I knew about it because I was working in a counter-terrorism command, but did your man on the street, was there enough warnings? And I mean, that has been subject to inquests and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who can say that? But then, so it was coming at that backdrop, but everyone else had just gone on their summer holidays to Tunisia. They were on the beach, they were around the pool, they were enjoying a holiday. As you do, a pretty standard holiday, that most people have probably worked for their entire year.
Yeah.
And then a lone terrorist, well, he was on his own, who knows about the network. That day, he came down to the beach with a number of firearms and roamed along the beach and through some of the bigger hotels, shooting people, basically.
So on the beach, there are various hotels, and he's gone along the beach, so it's not one specific hotel. It's not like hitting Hilton.
No, I mean, there was ones that were hit. There was like 3 or 4. There was ones that suffered more casualties because he actually went off the beach,
so it looks like
around the pool kind of thing. But yeah, there was, and he just shot indiscriminately. And you had people who were like just on sun loungers, you know.
God, you can't imagine, can you?
No, you just can't. But as soon as it was over, I mean, physically stopped, they set about evacuating all the British people there and getting them home.
Out of Tunisia? Of that area?
That area, first off. I think it then widened, but so you had people arriving back at airports in the UK, still in beach clothes. They didn't have their stuff. You know, they'd been evacuated. Some had lost family members. Some had been like sitting on a sun lounger next to someone who was shot. Some had been playing dead under sun loungers. And they just put them on planes and got them back here. And how we gathered that witness evidence.
When you say they, who would it have been that made the decision to pick
largely
up and
the holiday companies.
Right, sorry.
The holiday companies that were there responsible. So they just got them back home. But then they funneled them through airports, and we recognised as a police force, or police forces, as a network, because the Counter Terrorism Command police forces work as a network across the country. Recognised that they had a lot of evidence, and a lot of them had camera footage. They'd been taking their holiday photos, and suddenly they caught a terrorist in the background. There was stuff that needed to be captured. However, there was like previous to this, there was like a 25-page questionnaire or something form that we were filling out with people. We were like, people in their beachwear whose families was the other side of, the doors. And we're like, right, can you tell me what happened there? What happened there? Talk about this, talk about that. And there's so much research into evidence gathering and things like that, isn't there? Speaking to victims, witnesses.
Yeah.
And it didn't take into account any of that. And it came across as to a third party as myself, who was getting a lot of these forms through to then work out what we were going to triage next and that sort of thing. As brutal, you're asking these people, they've been through the most traumatic event of their life, and you're asking them for all their contact details, what they've seen,
what's on your cameras,
what's on your cameras, where were you, right? So you were next to this sun lounger, or you on the sun lounger? But it was unprecedented. It had never happened before, so there wasn't a clean cut process for it. But yeah, this was largely, I mean, there was other nationalities that were caught up in it and that were killed, sadly, but it was predominantly British tourists in those hotels there, and that were the victims. A lot of largely northern England,
really,
Liverpool, Manchester. They were the airports they flew back into. And yeah, there wasn't enough people to do these questionnaires with them. And I don't profess to know all the ins and outs of it. I didn't work the investigation. What I worked along with my detective inspector at the time, and then the wider network, was improving that process.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's where we're going.
I mean, so the fact that, it was so brutal, it didn't capture what it needed to efficiently without putting people through more. Yeah. So we did a lot of work. We did a lot of research with the families. And this was obviously as a wider team. Do you know what I mean? I pulled the report together. And we got together with some of the experts, the family liaison leads, things like that, from across the network. We got together, we did workshops and worked out how we could do it better if this happened again. And so we condensed, there was a 2-sided form, which was largely, where were you? Have you got any footage? And your contact details. And then a consent to be referred to victim support, so that we didn't lose people that were suffering.
Yeah.
And it was designed so they could fill it out themselves. So they didn't need a police officer to help them. It had a tear off strip so that they had a number that they could call if they needed it, and those sort of things. And it was a time we launched a portal whereby people could upload if they have photos, they could go home, sit at their laptop and upload them into a portal that we could then view, rather than us trying to, what have you got? Right, let's show me. Okay, you've got a picture. That could be useful. Right, can you send that to me? Or can you keep that? And,
take that bit of hard work.
So let me seize your camera phone and things like that. So we worked that, and we worked out on rolling it across the country and having, the necessary electronic boards at ports and things like that. So that was my first big project and terrorism incident I got involved in once I started CT. And from there, it evolved. So we used that. I can't remember the stat, but it was used after the Westminster, where the police officer was stabbed and killed, and the original Westminster attack where the people on the bridge were killed in 2017, that kind of kicked off 2017. It was used there to triage witnesses, and it worked. I think we got through like a vast number of witnesses in a small period of time in Westminster Hall. Yeah, we massively improved the process and what we were putting people through and allowing a triage of witnesses.
Do you think when you look back at why you joined the police to make a difference, that is something that you can look back and say, do you know what? This is something.
Yeah.
I made a difference here. Nobody will never really know. Well, now.
We captured key evidence and we didn't put witnesses through. And we really did that process thoroughly. Like the feedback that, they didn't have a number to ring if they wanted help after this incident.
Just seems such obvious basics, how that's not in place.
They didn't know who to contact in the police. So, but 2017 was the year. Obviously, we have Manchester Arena.
Yeah.
We have Westminster, Borough Market, Finsbury Park Mosque, not in that order. So that was the year that, I think that was a crazy year.
Were you involved in the November 2019 fishmongers?
I was to a degree, but at that stage, I was in international operations in Counter Terrorism Command. So 2019, that attack I didn't have as much to do with, but I was working it. And there was always that feeling when you were in Counter Terrorism Command, you were working jobs. If there was ever an incident, there hadn't been one like that, but we knew early on that was someone that had previously had interactions with Counter Terrorism Command. So it's like whenever someone
in rehab, wasn't he, that guy or something?
He'd been rehabilitated, or can look into
not
the
deemed a lost cause, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, but he was seen to be making progress, and they wanted to use him as a illustration of how you can turn things around and that. But yeah, that was, you always, when there was those sort of attacks, and it's awful, but your first thought was, shit, have I had anything to do with this person? Same with domestic incidents.
I was going to say that.
Any sort of policing.
Any sort of policing.
You don't want it to be someone that...
Am I about to blame someone here?
Am I going to be held responsible in some way for this?
I think that's... you were going to say, am I at fault here? And it's not even that. It's, am I about to get blamed for something here? And I think that is a massive... again, this isn't my story. This was a big part of why I ended up leaving, was because... I went through a big thing of like, I could get blamed for something here and I've done nothing.
And this is sad, but this is how it gets in the police. You just get to that point where you're like, it runs your life, Have I done something wrong? Am I going to be blamed for something? Am I going to be at fault for something? Because you could have dealt with something to the best of your abilities.
Yeah.
But you work
and best intention.
Yeah. But you work under such pressure at times. You work with such low resources. It's not enough that you want to do the best you can at times. So you exist on a life of, if you're just anxious, scared, that you're going to have messed up somehow, and you will be blamed. And you will be, and they will, whether it's scapegoating, whether it's making an example of you, whether it's, that this is going to come back to you, and all you were doing was your best. You're
Mhm.
just one person at the end of the day, probably quite up against it.
Yeah, but this is people
But
make
these
mistakes.
are your everyday people,
Yeah.
like you, like me, that are just still trying to make a difference. We're still working when we're not getting paid for it, you know, because we're still doing things. As soon as they gave me the capacity to, like, if I had a laptop or anything, I would work from home in like my own time. But as it was at that stage, there was no, like, when we were at Edmonton, when I was ADSing, I was paid for 8 till 4. There was no overtime budget. There just wasn't the money. So I mean, we were told there just wasn't the money.
That was going to other teams.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
That was going to you to sit in a car. And
Oh, here we go.
But no, you were, in all seriousness, I got in at 7 in the morning to start preparing for a morning meeting, to start distributing prisoners to cases in custody to the 3 team members I had that day who were already up against it. One of them was probably due in court for something. One of them was having a nervous breakdown.
Not due in court, as in
Well,
in the dock.
Had
to attend court as an officer.
As an officer.
For the clarification.
For clarification. But yeah, like, you know, you had so few resources, and you had newbies that were like keen and all that sort of thing, but had no idea. And you were about to give them a robbery job that had like 6 suspects all sitting downstairs, all giving different accounts, and 4 victims who were juveniles who all needed appropriate adults. You know, you get in at 7 a.m. at best. I ran on Red Bull for quite some time, and I would work till 7 p.m. at night. From 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. I didn't get paid. And, you know, these are these people that keep the police working. I mean, I don't profess to be the only one. There wasn't many of us that, you know, it runs on goodwill. It runs on people wanting to do the right thing, trying their hardest. And God, yeah, there's some bad apples. There is some terrible. And I did some professional standards work before I left. I'm well aware that there is some absolutely terrible cases that would make you, like, I mean, the Sarah Everard case and that man, I mean, it is the most high profile example, but there are shocking stories. And so I don't want to generalize. There are bad apples, but there's a hell of a lot of good people. And they get nothing out of it. Do you know what I mean? You just get hated on every day, you know, by the media, by members of the public. Again,
but it's not even that. I think this is where I found it became more difficult for me near the end, because, you know, I want to be liked. When I joined a job, you expect, you know, shitbags on the street, if you like, to not like you. You expect people you're nicking not to like you. What you don't expect is, as the phrase is, Mrs. Miggins, you know, but it then gets to the point of Mrs. Miggins is sick of you because you can't investigate a burglary because you're too busy trying to deal with a fraud that's you've had for 10 years, whatever. Yeah. And your family are getting sick of you because you can't tell them whether you're going to be there for Christmas dinner because, you know, you don't know because you're unlikely, but also it's 2 weeks before Christmas. Of course, you haven't got your timetable yet, which is absolutely absurd. We should have it, but we haven't got it yet. And, you know, probably everybody that's got kids is going to want the time off. So because I haven't, I'm bound to have to work night shift.
But
it's silly stuff like that. I feel like, and all your normal good people, because of your Sarah Everard case and various other things, it gets to the point of like everybody hates the police now.
Yeah, still obsessed with the news, still obsessed with current affairs. I used to, like, as soon as I get on the train in the morning, I would start, you know, I'd check the headlines, and there'd be at least 3 or 4 pieces, you know, about the police messing up, or the police being racist or misogynist, or, you know, an ism of some sort. There was such negativity that it's hard. It's hard to go in on that background and just do a good job, do your best. And you're never recognised, you're never rewarded. And these are people that aren't doing it for a reward. Do you know what I mean? We don't get bonuses.
No.
We didn't get, like, you know, rarely did we get a certificate unless
here we go. Go on.
And you got 100 certificates.
But 6.
so
I'm waiting for the other one. It never came.
It never came. But yeah, we weren't motivated for the rewards, because that's not a profession you go in for rewards.
No, it isn't.
But it's difficult when you're working against such negativity.
So you're going to be constantly
Yeah.
surrounded by negativity or not the best. So
Surrounded
it's
by
a hard
negativity.
world to be around.
I
And
mean,
it's not well paid.
No, it's not. I mean,
No, actually, do you know what? I might take that back. It's not badly paid, but
No.
it's not well paid in the way in the 80s when you were getting paid for wearing stockings or whatever. Mind you were getting stamped on the arse, whatever. So I might have taken that. But it's not, the pay doesn't what's the phrase I'm looking for? The pay isn't good enough, I don't think.
Considering what you do.
Yeah,
the
it doesn't.
decisions you make.
And the risk you put yourself in, etc.
When I was in professional standards near the end, I got deployed because I was a family liaison coordinator at that stage. And there was a situation they wanted to recover. And obviously, I didn't want to go into too many details. Something had happened which, by all estimations, was handled poorly.
Okay.
We knew if that got out,
okay,
if people knew what had happened, it would seriously affect the community, where the community relations were. And I was told in a roundabout way, you need to recover this. Otherwise, we've got a major problem. And it could lead to a situation like the riots back in 2012. No, because when was the riots? Because it was when we were told.
2011.
Yeah. So riots, horrible time, horrific time. Shooting of Mark Duggan. Triggered
Jesus, that. Yeah.
I mean, and I worked through that.
So did I. Was locked in a room.
You were locked in a room. I was in Hendon Police Station watching on Twitter as the rioters came further and further up.
Where were you working at the time?
I was in Hendon Police Station in 4th Street, so just up the road from Tottenham, where the bus
was
set on fire. I was TDC. I was in the CSU, but it was my weekend on.
So I was off topic slightly, but so I was on shift. I was night shift. I was in Edmonton, Nick, but I wasn't allowed out. I was shiny because I was a scaredy cat. Let me tell you, I was petrified.
I remember
of
they
out.
said to us they thought they were going to throw firebombs over the backyard at Edmonton.
I was there, yeah.
Yeah. So we were trying to work out where our cars would not get hit, because at the weekends you're allowed to bring your car in for parking, weren't you? The rest of the time you had to take your chances on a back. So I remember trying to park my car in the centre of the backyard, so it wasn't trapped in the police vehicles, but that no one could firebomb it as easy. But we had the Asda car park next door with the ramp, didn't we? So I was like, oh my God, they could throw a firebomb there, it's fair game. But yeah, and then we started to take the first prisoners. So yeah, I did like a 24-hour shift. We did the force mobilising and all that sort of thing. But
go back. We'll come back to the riots. But yeah, go back to your.
So yeah, I was told it was an area of South London where tensions were on the edge.
Well, you were DPS at the time, yeah?
I was DPS,
right?
Department of Professional Standards, and the police officers had handled a situation very poorly, and the family were asking questions, and rightly so. And we were told that someone needs to engage with that family, and they need to answer those questions sufficiently so that they won't talk to the press, so they won't talk, or it won't get out in the community, which would tip it over the edge.
Bloody
and
hell.
We're like, everything was suggesting, like, it was a tinderbox down there, it wouldn't take much, and there'd be another riot. And that's basically what I was told to go in and recover.
Jesus.
And I'm not the only one that did that stuff, and it's not the only day it happened. That was just stuff you were told to deal with.
Yeah.
And the pay for that is not comparative. That it's not a badly paid profession. It's not a well-paid profession.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
But
it's not.
Like, for what you can be faced with in a routine day.
I take it you recovered it.
I did, but it's a really difficult one, because it was a situation that was handled really poorly, and the family had every right to be really upset. But you speak on behalf of the police. So I don't want to justify that.
No, it's difficult, isn't it?
I don't want to be seen to try and justify something that I don't think is right or justifiable.
Yeah.
So you have to say the right things, but you're also human. And I wanted to answer what I could for them. I wanted to answer it honestly. I mean, we were always going to look into that. There was always going to be repercussions, for what had happened.
Can you speak a little bit on what ended up happening as the outcome?
It was dealt with through disciplinary processes.
And the family,
officers.
did they, were they happy per se with the outcome of what was done?
I mean, a situation had happened and you can't undo it.
Yeah.
And they were appalled by that. And rightly so. So they were never going to be happy. They also didn't want to be the, you know, the start of a riot. Like they didn't want to be known as like Mark Duggan was known for the instigation of indirectly, obviously, for what happened. And they didn't want their relative to be that.
They didn't want to create another.
Not in their name, you know, not in the relative's name.
Yeah, interesting.
And, you know, I have still to this day have utmost respect for them. How they handled that situation, you know, is all credit to them.
When you think of the CT stuff, would you have changed how you handled anything?
No. But I would have been, if I could do things over, I would have liked a little bit more honesty about where I was putting myself. And I say that from the point of view of, I investigated war crimes, and war crimes that had a nexus to the UK.
What's
so there had to be a link to the UK. Okay. So I wasn't one of these that looked into the British soldiers abroad and their activities. I looked into, my main one was the Liberian Civil War, because one of the people we considered a prime suspect in that, and offences linked to that, was living in the UK. Before the Liberian Civil War, 89 to 91, there was a later one as well, but that's the sort of time period we're talking. But our suspect that we suspected of doing terrible war crimes, torture offences, came over to the UK originally on a diplomatic visa, and then as a student visa, and then was granted leave to remain. So she was living in the UK. So that's why we got involved. And the Liberian Civil War was a horrific civil war in Liberia between...
Is Liberia a country of its own,
Africa.
or is it known as anything else?
No, it is a country of its own, West Africa, between, you know, around the Ghana, Guinea, slightly further around Nigeria. It's country of its own. Okay. A large population were American Liberians, so come over from America originally. Goes back to slave trade, so we won't go into extreme history. That's for another podcast that we may well do next year.
Might be late tonight at this rate.
The history of Africa. But yeah, so it's a country of its own, but it went through a number of civil wars whereby certain tribes tried to overthrow the leadership and that sort of thing. There was the most horrific, they believe in, a lot of them believed in black magic. There was cannibalism, juju, all these sort of things comprised with the most horrific fighting and torture and that sort of thing. We're talking the 90s.
Oh God, we're not talking years ago.
We're not talking the Dark Ages. We are talking the 90s, early 90s. And the only reason we got involved as the UK policing was because we had this suspect in the UK. She was living in the UK. She was making use of everything a life in the UK offers. She was working in the education system. So as the War Crimes Unit, we received referrals from numerous places. But this one came to us by an NGO, so a non-governmental organisation, you know, a charity of sorts that were doing work. They had noticed that a single person, or was numerous people being implicated, but this person was a woman, was implicated. So yeah, the case had actually started before I joined the team.
Oh, so you're not that significant.
Never said I was significant in this.
Just important.
I was just riding along the coattails.
Fun.
I made myself indispensable.
Good. Nothing like a bit of empire building.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
So it already started. We'd received a referral that there was a suspect for war crimes living and working in the UK. So they'd started an investigation. They'd identified.
I love how you say investigation. Have I said that before?
Investigation.
Yeah.
So we had commenced an investigation. And we did some investigatory stuff.
I'll edit this. Fine.
What do you mean? That's some of my best work.
I can't wait. I'll tell you, play it back, and you'll be like, "Do I sound like that?" Yeah, this Yishin. I don't know, but anyway, just because I sound like a common little rat. Right, carry on.
Team 11.
Did you want Team 11, by the way?
Quite honestly, when they said to me, I went to meet them all a couple of weeks before I started, and you know they did the usual like, oh yeah, we investigate blah, 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 we do some of this, do some of that, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be lovely. You're going to really like it. Blah, blah, blah. Do you know we investigate war crimes as well? I'm like, I don't know anything about war crimes. Do I need to know anything? The first response was, you've got access to Wikipedia. Be fine.
Yeah, fine, sound.
Be fine. I mean, little did I know that I would spend my weekends not long after that reading up on civil wars across the African continent.
That's slightly different.
Along with, you know, Sri Lanka, it's largely Africa, but yeah, there was some Tamil Tiger stuff. So Egypt, the uprising, yeah, I did a bit on that. Obviously Israel, Palestine, some cases to do with that. Yeah, so I can't say I brought a lot of knowledge to the table from the outset, but what I made up for it with was a bit of study. I embraced it.
Can you imagine? I take the piss, I know we do, but because you got the job and I didn't. Can you imagine if I'd got that job? Bit of war crimes.
You'd be like, it's old, so boring. It's boring.
Right, sorry, I digress. It's not about me. You go, carry on. Sorry.
Me. But yeah, we had this responsibility for the investigation of war crimes.
Yeah.
And there were specific guidelines, all that sort of thing. I didn't know about it beforehand. And I'm so glad now, because I do think it's, you know, a big part of me. It's brought me where I am. It's made me who I am. I have seen things that, whilst in many ways I wouldn't want to see, but it's all a part, you know, and you can't unsee things. You can't go back and all that sort of thing. And, but I think I've taken it and I've done something positive as much as I could with it. And so I wouldn't change it. So throughout my time on Counter Terrorism Command, I dealt with one investigation for war crimes, predominantly. There were many others. I dealt with many terrorist incidents. I interviewed terrorists. You know, I did a lot of family liaison work, things like that. But there was one job that ran throughout. I mean, I was on it for about 6 years. But that was kind of the main theme almost of my counter-terrorism time, was that one investigation into the Liberian Civil War.
Did it have an operation though?
Gravelstone. Operation Gravelstone.
Okay.
Many a time I thought I should tattoo it on me. I mean, it wasn't just career shaping, it probably was life shaping investigation, because I lived and breathed that. Yeah. I worked so hard on that. It took over. At times the balance was not right. It took over for one reason or another.
Do you think you lost a relationship due to it?
I think I lost a relationship due to many aspects, but that was a big part of it. Big part of it was that investigation and working in Counter Terrorism Command in 2017 and responding to all those attacks. That's when I lost it. And there was reasons that had got it to that stage, I think. Yeah. You know, like medical conditions and, you know, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, I wasn't there. In 2017, I was helping everyone else but myself and my relationship. But I didn't, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I can see that now. I can see that a few years afterwards. But
you don't blame yourself for it though, do you? Now you're actually saying it like that.
No.
Good.
No, I don't. But that took me a long time to say that. I think I would have blamed myself for quite a while. You know, I wasn't there, so he was unfaithful because I wasn't there. You know, and that's a hard one to, because it's a direct result of my actions. Not being there, he looked elsewhere. And I think that's all you see for quite a while. And then afterwards you start to think, well, I wasn't there for a very good reason.
Yeah.
You know, I was blue lighting it up to Manchester to deal with arrests up there in relation to terrorist attacks. I was interviewing terrorists to stop attacks. I was triaging victims of numerous terrorist attacks. I was acting as a family liaison officer to try and help families that were going through the very worst things imaginable. I wasn't there for a very good reason.
But this is why police officers are with police officers, and police officers are with nurses, and they're with what am I going to call them? Bloody firemen. What was I going to call them? Fire people.
The fire
whatever.
People. Yeah.
Also fire engines, whatever. Because it's a really hard thing for people outside the emergency services world, I think, to get your head around.
Yeah. I used to get a call in the middle of the night, and I would be gone, and I would be gone for days. I had a grab bag, with a change of clothes in, a deodorant and some dry shampoo, and off I went for a few days, to help, to try and solve things, to try and fix things,
to save the world
in our small capacity.
Yeah.
But I left someone at home who didn't know what to do with their time, and I think I realised maybe too late. Well, it was definitely too late. That that there's a consequence to that.
Would you change it if you went back?
No, because you could see what I was trying to do. That's why I was where I was. And if you couldn't entertain yourself without screwing around, then that's more on you than it is on me. Yeah. But
again, that takes time.
But that took a lot of time in therapy to say that, because my default position, like many, would be to blame myself for that. But so now, but at the time, because it all kind of came, I was dealing with my war crimes investigation. I deployed to Africa 3 times in 2017 to interview victims.
Where do you get sent to?
Ghana at that time, predominantly. So we went to Ghana because our victims and witnesses could get to Ghana. They were bought by the NGO, and they wouldn't get stamps in their passport.
What's it like going out there? I assume you don't get sent out in a BA flight first class. It's not like that, is it? Staying in a Hilton. It's a jollier out
travel.
there.
And like in the Met, that is amazing. Because in the Metropolitan Police, not many people get to travel.
No.
Not many people get to do the things I've done. Not many people get to see the things I've seen. And for that, I am truly grateful for. But do not get me wrong. This was not a holiday. I went to Ghana, and BA are the only ones, or at the time, were the only ones that flew direct to Ghana. So we used to fly with BA. You do not fly in business, first class. You fly in economy, because there's a thing called the Daily Mail test, whereby how would it look to the public if they were to see you spend your money on this? And I also paid taxis. I still do.
Yeah.
But that's why you can't ever eat a steakhouse, because to the public it would look wrong if you were getting your food at a steakhouse. So you flew in economy, and economy to Ghana is a less glamorous stretch, so we say. No one sits in their allocated seats. There's always an argument about it. People bring chickens, dried fish, microwaves and dinner sets there. So the British government has still got good links there. We had an embassy there, that sort of thing. So we could get our victims' witnesses there. We could get there. It was deemed safe, and it also didn't have yellow fever at the time, which was a big thing, because yellow fever was taking hold of parts of Africa.
Okay.
And obviously we couldn't risk police officers getting it. We didn't really want our victims getting it.
Ideally.
It was ideally. So Ghana was the haven kind of thing. And Ghana is a fascinating country. I really enjoy it, but it's not a classic holiday destination, anything like that. It's
you mean, I suppose it's different if you've got family and relatives, etc.
Yeah.
But if it's not so much, it's not like flying over to Lanzarote.
Yeah, it's Africa, and it's got it's very much retained its identity. Like, it's got its own food, it's got its own drinks, its culture, its music, all those sort of things.
So if you don't know
which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But it's no good if you're one of these people that goes abroad and orders chicken nuggets and chips
and go to the latest Irish bar.
Yeah, and goes to the Irish bar, because that's not accommodated.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Ghana, I almost ended up getting knocked over and flattened in a drainage ditch, because it's got all the open drainage ditches next to
Right.
the roads. And I got clipped by a wing mirror. Someone was trying to sell me some art. I was walking down Oxford Street, which is the main street in Ghana, in Accra, the capital. No,
right. Different.
And so someone had put their arm around me to sell me their art. And I'm entertaining it because I'm a polite person.
Yeah.
And I'm giving
You're so British sometimes.
so British. I'm like, oh no, that is lovely. Did you do that yourself, did you? Oh, no,
Lovely.
that is lovely. I love what you've done with the sunset there. You've really captured that. And but they were kind of like, because I had this person's arm around me, it was a bit wobbly. And I see like their equivalent of like a Navarro truck like you used to have, coming at me. And I'm quite close to it. I'm thinking, I'm not sure about this. Before I know it, my whole life's flashed before me. The wing mirror clipped me, and because the man who had his arm around me sort of kind of shoved me a bit. I mean, this is the story of my life. This is quite representative of what happens when I go on a date with a boy. He shoved me. I fell in a drainage ditch. Almost got squashed by a Navarro truck. But yeah, so it took a little bit of getting used to, but I learned to love that place. I went there about 9 times, I think. The people are, and literally, this sounds so cliche, doesn't it? Oh, the people are really friendly. They literally are really friendly. And like the culture, the dancing, the music, everything. But it was seriously hard work. I led on the interviews. I led on a lot of our victim relationships. That was kind of victim liaison, witness liaison was my bit, the investigation. And I was a deputy case officer, so I had other uses, obviously, but this was my bit: victim, witness liaison, and interviews.
How many victims were you handling?
Approximately 9.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
Pretty much 9
on one case.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is slightly just me putting a slight policing head on. It feels a bit strange for you to handle 9 victims, because how are they independent when you know what when you know what victim one's saying, doing, whatever? How are you handling 2, 3, 4? Because surely there's some kind of allegation you're going to make them all say the same.
Ironically, when it got to court, it got to the Old Bailey.
Yeah, I'm jumping ahead massively. It was just the first time we've ever really spoke like this about it.
One of the defence arguments was they're all saying the same things.
Because that's what happened.
Could argue that's because
the same thing happened. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in some ways we did receive criticism.
Yeah.
In some ways there are things we could do differently, but we were.
You didn't have the resource, surely, and you can't have you all flying over to Liberia, can you? Liberia.
3 of us went. Yeah. Ghana, Liberia, Guinea. We did in that trip, or the States as well at some point for another reason. But sometimes it was just me and Gary, my boss, that went.
Yeah.
That's all we could have. That's all we threw at it.
Because if we ever had in Sapphire, when we had a link job, we always tried to get a different SOIT on a different victim for that very same reason. But you didn't have that luxury.
It was just so
ridiculous in CT.
Yeah. But the whole thing was ridiculous. I mean, what we achieved is frankly amazing. Like, and I can say that because I'm biased, but I can say that looking back on it. To achieve what we achieved with the lack of support, the lack of resources, and don't get me wrong, the command did pay for this. They paid for us to go over there. There was, we were paid for it. We weren't on some sort of like
use your words.
It wasn't like, a charitable operation.
No.
You know the word I'm trying to find, don't you? Philanthropy.
Yeah.
They paid for it, and they found the funds to for us to go.
That's what they did, though. They found the minimum funds for you to be able to do what you could do. They didn't throw money at it.
Yeah.
Can we just break down the type of allegations that were made against this person you dealt with?
Okay, so literally on paper, the worst crimes you can imagine. Sexual violence and rape as a weapon of war is the predominant theme. Our suspect, our defendant, as they became when they were charged, was married to an African warlord. Can we use that term?
Don't know.
I mean, he's in prison for life, so I think it's safe to say.
Where's he in prison?
He's in prison in the UK, ironic, but
is
for
he?
matters in Sierra Leone. So, as part of the International Criminal Court, which we lots of European countries and wider are signed up to. You will take a turn with a prisoner.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Charles Taylor. It happened to be our turn in the UK. So Charles Taylor is serving life, 50 years, something like that, imprisonment for the war crimes he committed as part of the Sierra Leone Civil War around a similar time. And he serves those up in, Franklin, Durham prison.
Yeah. Oh, HMP Franklin, yeah.
Yeah. So he is here, and we are talking about one of his former wives. That's who I dealt with, and their involvement allegedly. I have to use the term allegedly because
so she wasn't found guilty.
She wasn't found guilty.
Oh, Jesus! All that time.
Yeah, her involvement. So we alleged that she was involved in the running of a training camp for soldiers, child soldiers. There was a large contingent of women there who were treated as, I suppose, a modern day term would be sex slaves. Right. You know, who were tortured, who were there to satisfy the men who were training.
Oh, okay. So they're training to be soldiers, and they were there as...
And they were there as... they couldn't pay them. They couldn't pay the soldiers for them, so they paid them by other means, allegedly. And we dealt with... We had women that were raped consistently, the most horrific rapes. We had, stillborn babies. We had all forms of torture. We also had some slight anomalies.
Easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say. So to be charged with murder in the UK, you have to, or abroad, you have to be a UK citizen. So we had suspicions that she had been involved in the murder of a couple of children. But we couldn't charge her because she's not a British citizen.
Oh, God.
With murder. So we charged her with torture, or CPS, charged her with torture on these little kids' mum, because she'd had to watch them being shot by her. But I spent over 100 hours just talking with our victims about how they were raped. But we're talking about guns being placed in places. We're talking about smashed bottles. We're talking about people having their legs shot off. We're talking about literally horrific crimes that you can't even imagine outside of a film scenario. Unless you've, grown up in these environments.
Yeah, war-torn,
that sort of thing. And I became so immersed in it, which was allowed, which was frankly encouraged, so that I could build the rapport, so that I could get these accounts.
Because the aim was to
get the accounts so that we could prove these cases, so that we could obtain justice. We could hold someone accountable for what had gone on. And that's admirable. But I think no one told me before that there's such a thing as vicarious PTSD. If you'd have asked me 10 years ago, PTSD, what do you know of it? I'd have been like, soldiers in war get that.
Yeah.
Kids who are abused get that.
Yeah.
You get that through directly being a victim of something.
Yeah.
But if someone had told me that I could have picked that up because I became so immersed in these victims' lives.
You felt it.
That I literally shut my eyes and I saw them telling me about it. Yeah. And it became...
You've turned it so graphically, you've been there.
Yeah. And I've watched videos on it, and I've watched newspaper accounts and journalism stuff on it. And, to build our case, people used to say to me, like, oh, do you know what would really help here? If we could put her, our suspect, at that camp at that time, that would be, really strengthen the case. So off I went. So I needed to strengthen the case. So I would YouTube videos of it, start I was off to British Library, went through all the books, all the accounts. Then it needed to go further afield. So then we knew there was journalists that had visited the camps in the time and had footage. Off we went. Off I went and interviewed them and spoke to them and reviewed their footage. I was watching so much raw footage of war, and a war where, you know, there was cannibalism, and they were, you know, covering themselves in the blood of each other to try, because they believed in black magic. They believed they were immune to being shot.
Yeah.
Child soldiers, horrific things. And I was watching it. I was listening to it. I was talking to it. I was trying to build relationships with them. And then I was told that I was responsible for safeguarding them. So I had people living in refugee camps in West Africa, in huts, like literally mud-built huts. And I had to safeguard them against repercussions. And you're like,
how?
Exactly. If you're told to do that in London, there's a list. It's difficult.
It's still hard. Yeah.
It's hard. But there is a list. You can fix, like, personal attack alarms. You can get their calls treated to their addresses as urgent.
Yeah.
Get them rehoused, somewhere relocated, witness protection.
Yeah.
You can't do that in Africa. And also, I mean, we won't even touch on the whole element of the areas in Africa where there is basically perpetrators or friends of perpetrators in high places still.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't ask them, would you mind if, look, in this refugee camp, I've got four victims who I'm looking to, you know, would like to come and give evidence for us of what they've been through. Do you make sure they're safe? And you know, when you're like, first off, you can't even tell them they're there because
you've just put them as target number one. Yeah, of course.
But so I went to sleep every night petrified that someone was going to rock up at their hut, take them out in the night, and I'd be held responsible.
And this is the thing, isn't it? It's bad enough that you realise that it's them and awful. But the crux of the issue really is you're being held responsible. That's the...
But I was genuinely, the lines are burnt. I was petrified that they were going to die.
Yeah,
and they felt at this stage, it was even beyond that, because like I built up a rapport. There was a relationship there.
It's your friend.
They felt like my friend. They were my victim.
Yeah, because they trusted you.
They trusted me. They were so grateful that I'd listened to what had happened to them and that we were trying to do something. They were telling me they were praying for me, you know, and I was worried that I couldn't safeguard their life.
And you feel like you're the one that's always put them in more harm because they're talking to you.
Yeah. So they're talking to me. They're taking a massive risk talking to me. What can I do? What can I do to get them justice? Because they felt like...
Did they feel they needed justice? Or were we doing it because we needed the justice? Do you know what I mean? Because does that culture feel like they believe in it?
They wanted their version of justice. They just wanted a voice. They just wanted someone to hear them and to believe them.
Which they got.
And to listen to them. And ironically, and when it was finally over, I think the majority of them were just grateful that we'd taken it this far, that we've believed in them that much.
Yeah.
So I obviously felt that I'd let them down massively.
I get that.
But the system let them down. The UK is not set up, our legal system is not set up to prosecute such cases. We just don't have the laws, the resources, the understanding, whatever you want to say. We, like, little things. We can't charge with crimes against humanity unless it took place after 1991.
Okay.
This took place in 89 and 90.
Right.
So hence why we charged her under torture legislation.
Okay.
Different, not international.
So you've got different points to prove against that, I suppose.
Different points to prove.
Yeah.
Different repercussions, different ways of dealing with victims, witnesses, suspects. And essentially, we went to the Supreme Court, the highest court in this country. We took this case for interpretations, and we are case law. There's no getting around the fact we are case law and we have opened the way for certain cases, you know, the Yazidis, in and the things, their persecution, things like that. Potentially there is pathways now that the law in the UK could deal with these as a result of my case.
So to go backwards, when you went to the Old Bailey, and what's her name?
Agnes Taylor.
Okay. So did she end up doing any custody?
Yeah, she was on remand until trial.
Okay.
Oh, well, it didn't quite get to trial. 18 months. She was the longest held prisoner on remand before trial in the country at the time.
What was the reason it didn't get to trial?
Ultimately, it didn't meet the points to prove. So it came down to the governmental situation in Liberia at the time, and whether they were acting, because it was essentially a coup kind of thing, a coup in many respects. Did they assume the functions of a government in the actions they were doing? And how do you prove a tribal group, a faction, was acting in the role of a government? It came down to what me and you would call a technicality.
Yeah.
It just wasn't factored in. There just wasn't we just couldn't get it over the line.
Yeah. Did you deal with her personally?
I interviewed her, yeah.
How'd you find her? If you didn't know what you know.
It's a really tough one, because I've sat across an interview table from quite a lot of different people.
Because which I said to you from the beginning, is you are a difficult one for me to interview, because you are a very experienced and a very qualified interviewer. I just chat. So
yeah, so I've done my interview training. I've done specialist suspect interviewing. So it's a very, I mean, I love interviewing, mainly because I'm quite nosy. But I do love, this goes back to when we talk about our strengths and our weaknesses. And I've always made the most of my strengths. And I can come across really dumb. And that was something that people got across the table from me. And this started with, your shoplifters and everything. And they think I will believe them. I love the aspect of interviewing where you sit across a table from someone, and that moment it suddenly dawns on them that you actually do know what you're talking about. Yeah. You've done your work, you've done your research, you've done your reading, you're interviewing, whatever it is, and you do the challenge phase. So to speak. You've picked up on their inconsistencies, and you ask them about them. And I'm never a bad cop. Do you know what I mean? There's no need for me to ever be aggressive. I'm never confrontational interview. I'm never shouty, because you don't need to be. At the end of the day, I want to get to the bottom of something. So if that means, and it does mean understanding there is two sides to every story. There's two sides to every account. I mean, whether one of them is complete BS.
Well, it's usually somewhere in the middle is a fact.
Yeah. But you understand that person opposite you has got an account, and they probably believe that.
Yeah.
Whether they, it could be built on lies, it could be built on naivety, they
believe in it.
But they believe in it. And I want to hear it, because...
So stop listening to your solicitor and tell me it.
Yeah, stop listening to your solicitor, because it's not them that's going to be standing.
Stop this no comment nonsense. Did that happen with Agnes Taylor?
I mean, I can't talk about the interview too much with Agnes Taylor.
Okay.
But, I mean, I'm guessing I can't, because, it's not an ongoing criminal case.
When you interviewed her, did you feel like she came across as if...
You didn't see her and think war criminal.
But when she... No, of course.
And allegedly, because she's never been found guilty of war crimes. So if she remains innocent in the eyes of the law.
Yeah, true.
And that's,
It's a hard one to swallow, that as ex-old bill, isn't it? Because one of the things I've always thought... Sorry, microphone. One of the things as a police officer for me, and if anyone wants to take this on board, take it. If you can get charged, I've always thought to myself, if you're charged, you're guilty of sin. Because bloody hell.
That's why no one wants us on a jury.
Bloody hell. It's hard to get charged.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get someone charged...
Jesus, then you're guilty.
We had to get Attorney General permission to charge the offences we charge with.
Because they're serious.
So these are not everyday offences.
Yeah.
You can tell by the fact we're case law. You know, we're the only ones that have charged torture in those circumstances, period.
Well, who was our lawyer? Was it someone like someone significant?
It got a lot better, yeah.
Yeah.
Initially, it was kind of Judy's solicitor.
Right.
And they didn't know what had hit them.
Yeah, I bet.
They were just rocked up, you know, oh, I've got a call, going down to the police station, get me I tell them go no comment, you know. And they got there and we did stage disclosure, so we showed some of our evidence, you know, to get an account, then we show a little bit more.
A little bit more.
And everyone thought, you know, I mean, oh, bless him, he did. He thought, you know, oh, they've done a little bit of work. They're going to ask it a few questions. And then there is a point as well where he realises,
oh shit.
Probably should have said no to this call. It looks like they've been working on this quite a while. They've got quite a lot of evidence. But yeah, so I don't think it did get massively significant. And that's Queen's Counsel we had in it.
Really?
Yeah, Queen's Counsel at the time.
Would now be King's.
King's Counsellors.
Okay, so not to throw you under a bus now, but one last question on it. Do we know if she's still living in the UK?
No.
No, we don't know. I know she's not in the UK.
No, she's returned to Liberia. She returned to Liberia very quickly.
God. I wouldn't want to be in Liberia.
Because I would guess there was always the concern that we might find the missing pieces of the jigsaw.
Yeah. Yeah, she ain't going to come back, is she? Because you might nick her again.
And frankly, resources meant we couldn't look for the further piece. I feel, and this is an entirely personal opinion, the missing pieces of the jigsaw were out there.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't give any more because, and rightly so, there are people that are getting burgled that are getting no police attendance. You know, there are people that have very ever-present crimes on London streets, and you do have to balance that against these crimes took place
20 years ago
20 30 abroad.
Yeah,
you know,
and they're massive and they should be dealt with, but is that the priority? And I haven't got the answer.
And that's at the time it felt very personal because I put so much into this. To me, I couldn't understand why we weren't throwing everything we possibly could at it, but now I look back and I completely understand why we couldn't throw everything against it, because we need to look after, you know, again, my opinion, not a police spokesperson. You need to look after the residents of London. That's our priority. We need to keep those people safe. How do you balance that against justice for a war that took place abroad 20 years ago? I would add in that the suspect for those offences was teaching our kids and was living a lifestyle as our neighbour and things like that. So I do think there is justifications. But you do reach a point, don't you?
You do. Living a lifestyle as our neighbour. Was she? Or was she living a life of luxury, in your opinion? Your opinion?
Somewhere in between.
Okay.
She wasn't living the dream. She was driving a nice car, living in a nice house in a suburb of London, teaching her kids. You know, say that as you will. A life that not many of us could lead.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I couldn't have funded on my wages that lifestyle.